When I started talking about tarot, I started with the Fool, and then I went back and looked at the minor arcana. And this might seem a little strange to start with one of the major arcanas, then go to the minor arcana, and now start talking about the rest of the major arcana, starting with the Magician. But it's particularly the nature of the Magician card that made it good to talk about this, because the Fool is the card of initiation. It's where you begin your spiritual journey. And to really understand the Magician, you have to understand the difference between someone who is before initiation and someone who is after initiation. So the Magician card is the initiate. It's someone who has been initiated. And in most tarot decks, you see the Magician as a figure, a man, with the four symbols that you see in the minor arcana: the cup, the wand, the sword, and the disc. And so this is someone who has laid out and has control over the four elements. In the minor arcana, I was talking about how each of these elements have their own cycles, and that most people have certain elements that they identify stronger with and less with others, and that they're in more balance in some areas and in less balance in others. And so the initiate is someone who is now discovering a new way to connect all of these aspects. He's not divided into many different areas and many different levels of imbalance. He's working on everything at once. He understands that there's this level behind this physical reality of the four elements, and that working on that level lets you transcend all of the other four levels and affect them all simultaneously. So the Magician is the master of the elements. In some tarot decks, in older ones mainly, the Magician was referred to as the juggler. And that's not another bad way of putting it, that the Magician is someone who is now skilled at being able to manipulate all of these different forces all at once. So an initiate is someone who develops new ways of doing things, and suddenly can see things with new eyes and can do things in new ways. In this card, of this deck that I've been using to show you, there's the image of the Magician with all four elements in their elemental form and in their symbolic form. And the Magician in this deck I like very much, because you can see that he's green, and he's not just green. He's got roots, and he's flowering from the top of his head. So it's describing the initiate as a part of nature, as something that is now connected to the earth and is flowering to the sky and is becoming more natural. The whole act of spirituality is that quest to be more natural. And you can be more natural by being more total. And the way to be more total is to connect all of these disparate elements and function with all of them together. So the way that an initiate can do this is because they are connecting to an initiatory energy. And the energy that you receive on initiation is called different things at different times. Some people call it divine energy, or initiation energy, or an energetic current, or baraka is what they call in the Sufi tradition, or Shaktipat in the Indian tradition. But basically it's that you're connecting to this force that is greater than yourself. And a teacher, when he initiates a literal initiate, a disciple, will open a connection to the Shaktipat in the person's third eye. But the Shaktipat is something that anyone can receive some of in any state. And tapping into it creates a change of perspective. At the same time, if you can change your perspective, you can tap into it. As above, so below is what the Hermetics used to say. So the change of perspective is a change of looking at things with this perspective of being in the moment, and by being in the moment you become total. One thing that I sometimes used to describe the difference in how things work before you're initiated and after is that someone who is before initiation is trying to do things like meditate, sort out their life, work out their relationships, and if all of that is a sky, then it's a sky that's got clouds all over the place. And then after you receive that Shaktipat, that wake up moment, and you can connect to being in the moment, then it's like there is still the sky and it still might have clouds, but now there's more and more blue there. And it's not really that anything has actually changed. It's still only one sky. It always was only one sky. Only now you're seeing the sky instead of just seeing the clouds. So the key to connecting to that energy of the magician is first to let yourself be in the moment, and second, to create an initiation for yourself. And of course, the big initiation is when a spiritual teacher transmits initiation. But that's not the only initiation. And in fact, you should be initiating yourself every day. The way to initiate yourself every day is by creating these moments of stopping and focusing on the moment so that you remember where you are and you center yourself. And then you can take all of that with you. The magician is the master of his environment. And the way you master your environment is by being able to see it all as a part of this wholeness and of this moment. Many people will go through life working and trying to do things, and spiritual practice and work life and family life, doing things that they don't really love. And then some people will clue into this idea of a philosophy of do what you love, that you should try to do things that you'll actually enjoy. And that's better than the first type of person, because if you're trying to do something that you enjoy, at least you're trying to be celebratory. But the teaching of the magician takes it one more step beyond that. It says, love what you do. If you're the magician, to really incarnate the energy of the magician, it's not about looking and trying to force life to be something that you're going to love, but opening yourself and letting yourself be centered enough and vulnerable enough and in the moment that you can see what's happening right now and accept it and love it. And then whatever you're doing, you can transform it into something that you will love by finding what is good there and by making it a little better. But it's not a radical change, will not necessarily change anything if you're not changing on the inside. So the magician is the master of the elements within himself, and that's how he does magic on the outside. He transforms his inner self, and by doing that, he transforms the world around him. Often, totally naturally, and without any real effort, everything just flowers.